Okay, today I would like to start working on painting my pumpkin. And what you see now is I have it fired, and I started putting some watercolors on it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the watercolors to go in the cracks, and then I'm going to wash this off. And so what I've done so far was to take some black watercolor and put it in the cracks, and I'm trying to darken these cracks a little bit more. Now, I'm not really worried about getting some on the outside because I'm going to wash that off. As soon as I get these in the cracks, I'm going to go back and take this to the sink and let this most of this get washed off. And I'll take a scrub brush and I'll kind of scrub it off, or actually maybe I'll take a sponge. I'll take a sponge and I'll sponge most of this off. But what I want is just all these cracks to get filled with the watercolor. So I'm kind of doing what they call a staining technique, where I'm applying the color and then I'm washing a lot of it off. And that's what I want to do with this, is I want to get all the color in those crevices. And I'm not really worried about out here because I'm going to leave that alone. And then what I thought I would do is go back with a little bit of orange and put like an orange tint on some areas and kind of leave it natural. So kind of some natural color with some orange and then black in the crevices. And I really want to get those crevices black. So I'm really trying to get some paint in there. And we call this a staining technique, not because the material stain. The material is just watercolor. That's our medium, the watercolor. But the technique is where we apply a medium to this, and then we wash some of it off. And it kind of gives you like a staining technique. It stains it. So it's not really a material per se. It's not like you buy stain in the store. It's a technique, not a material. And I think I want to get it darker around around the stem, kind of darker. And I won't wash all this off. I'll try to keep some of this dark here. So I want to kind of get it dark and let it come down in the cracks. And I'll let it roll down into that crack. And then I'm going to wash a lot of this off. So you see what I'm getting here? And I kind of like the look of this. Kind of like the way it's looking. I didn't know how watercolor would work out because I haven't used a lot of watercolor. I usually glaze these, and I've spray painted them before, but I kind of like the watercolor. I mean, it gives a unique look. And really an antiquing kind of look. That stain is kind of like an antiquing. The question is, do I make the mouth black? I think I'm going to. I think I want to try to keep these teeth white, but I want to kind of get like in the crevices and make that black. Now I want to get it to run down these two teeth. There we go. Look at that. Okay, So I'm really getting there. Feel like my cracks are getting pretty dark. Get some paint in those. Okay, so this is a unique look. I almost kind of like the way this is looking here, but I'm gonna wash it off in the sink and we're gonna see what it shows up as here. Okay, so maybe what I ought to do is get some of my green on here before I go wash it off. I'll get some green on. And we'll use some browns in here too. On my stem, some greens and some browns. I'm kind of turning it upside down because I don't really want the green really to run up onto the pumpkin very much. I know that's probably going to happen some, and that's okay, but I think I want to get some brown in here too. Some browns and greens, so maybe some browns in the crevices. And then put some green on top of that. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm most creative when I have limitations and I have problems. Sometimes when I make a mistake, I do some of my most creative work because there's a mistake and I have to figure out a way around it. And in this case right here, we just don't have the opportunity to glaze these, because that would be our default, just to glaze these. But because the students are at home, it makes a big difference on what we can do and what we can't do. So I got to get in there and wash this off here soon because it's getting pretty dry. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of black to some of these areas here. Give it a little bit of depth. I think that will help. I get these cracks here, these twists. So we got a little bit of green and a little bit of black and a little bit of brown. And I feel like it's looking pretty good. I may not wash a lot of this off of the stem because I kind of like the way this looks. Okay. Okay, what are you thinking? Look okay? Okay, so now it's time to go and wash it off in the sink some and see how it looks. Okay, this is what it looks like washed off. And you can see I mostly kept it in the cracks and washed it off the edges, but now I want to start adding some orange to this. Now I could leave it just like this if I wanted to, but my plan was to add some orange tint to it, and I might wash some of this off too. I haven't really decided. So I'm just gonna put some orange on there and then let's see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I could, you know, wash a lot of it off. And if I do like it, then great. Again, this is a different technique than I usually use. Usually we just glaze these, but that's okay. This is different. It's kind of unique. I kind of like it. And we're just trying to get an orange tint to it. We're not trying to make this all orange. We're just trying to kind of get a tint to it. Like I said, I'll wash some of this off. So I'm not too worried about that. Kind of making a big mess, I can tell you that. Okay, we're getting an orange tint to it now. That's getting there. Okay, I'm making kind of a mess with my hands here, so I'm going to try to grab on the stem. I don't know if I'll mess that up. Let's see if I can clean up my mess. Kind of getting there. Okay, let's go ahead and add maybe some green and browns to the stem. Get some dark areas again. So I kind of washed some of those out. So this will help give it a little bit of depth by getting this dark color in the cracks there. That's what we want to try to do, create a little bit of depth. So we're just adding a little bit dark in those crevices areas here, just the really deep areas. I'm just going to add a little touch of green here and there too, because we want a little bit of green on here. Mostly to the tops, not to the insides. I'm going to add a little bit of blue too. Why am I adding a little bit of blue? I just don't, I feel like it needs it. I don't know. Don't know why. Sometimes you just know it's not right. It needs something else. So I'm going to add a little blue to it. See how it looks. Okay, so let's see what we have here. This looks pretty good. You know, I really don't want it to be, the teeth to be like super dark. If I can lighten those up a little bit, I might be able to do that with just some water. And I might have to take the sponge to it and try to wash it off a little bit, but I'm not gonna be able to get the sponge into all those little crevices. So we wanna keep the teeth a little bit whiter. And by just taking some somewhat clean water in here and scrubbing on these might do the trick. Okay, well, that's a little bit better. A little bit whiter teeth. Try a little bit more black in here. But I feel like we're just about there. Try to create a little bit more contrast in these eyes. Maybe a little bit in the mouth. Guess if I wanted to, I could add a little bit of red to this, to the lips. I don't know how that would look. Don't know if I want it out there too much. Mostly on the inside. Just give it a little bit of red tinge. Okay, yeah, that's there. I feel pretty good about that. Maybe a little bit more orange out here. Now for this to stay on here when it dries, I'll really need to spray it with some clear spray paint, and that'll make a big difference. So just putting a little bit more orange on here. Kind of a dirty orange, I guess. Might be a little too orange there. Take some water and pull it off of there. Spread it around a little. It takes a little time to do this, and you have to plan on spending a little bit of time, you know. If you don't, I don't think you'll be happy. Okay, what's the verdict? Okay. Okay. Not too bad. Okay, let's let it dry and we will see what it looks like later, and maybe we'll spray it with the clear paint if we like it. Okay, I put a clear coat of spray paint on here and it's a little bit more shiny, and I think it looks pretty good overall. So pretty happy with it. I will see you guys next time.